Welcome, everyone, to the first ever episode of Energetic Essence Healing Show. I am so thrilled to finally be starting the show. It's been a long time coming, and I'm super excited to welcome my first guest, the amazing Katie Phillips, who is just wonderful. The work she's doing in the world is wonderful, and also I think you've got a very big heart. So today, Katie is the founder of the School of Self-Love. She is a woman empowerment master coach, love and dating mentor, and the author of The Self-Love Affair, a woman's guide to a daring and mighty life. Beautiful. She's the creator of the Meet Your Soulmate experience, which is transforming midlife women's lives and allowing them to receive love with ease. And I've seen the impact that this 5-day challenge has, and it is wild. It really is the transformation that happens. Her passion and expertise is inspiring midlifers that they can create a life they love and call in the love of their life without burnout or guilt. So welcome, Katie. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for being my first guest.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, really good.
Well, first of all, I'm just going to dive straight in, and I'd love to know, how would you define your healing work that you're doing in the world?
So that's an excellent question, because it really is a blend of mindset work, because I often think we have to start with the mind, because that's where we create most of our problems. And deep healing and transformation happens in the heart and the soul in a way that we really don't have a lot of control over. It's really handing over the reins to a part of us that is capable of forgiveness and compassion, which from here we can't. We can't forgive someone that's hurt you so much from here. That's something our heart and soul is only capable of doing. And there's a process of moving from head into body and connection with your spiritual self, your true self. And I take people through a transformational process of really awareness, because there's no change without creating awareness, moving into emotional expression and catharsis therapy, because the most powerful way to heal is to feel your way through it. Like the feeling that is actually the releasing, isn't it? So we move from awareness into the feeling of that awareness and the release of that into forgiveness, whether it's forgiveness for ourselves, whether it's forgiveness for others, compassion. And then we're clear and we can start to actually connect with, well, who am I really without that conditioning, without that programming, without holding on to resentment and fear, and, like, who am I? And authentically connected with my spiritual truth. Who am I and what do I desire for my life? And we can then move into creation. So there's a whole process of healing, which we often have to look backwards before we can start moving forwards. I'm a transformational coach. I'm always about moving my clients forwards. And there's no denying, often we've got to do a little digging to understand why we're blocked at the point we're at in our life before we can go forward. And essentially, in a nutshell, that's what I do. And I'm just the channel. You know this, Lucy, like you are too. I'm the channel for the work. And often actually what comes through and what we do isn't something that I knew we would do. Often in a client session, I have no idea why I'm being guided to ask the questions I ask, to invite them into certain processes that I'm invited to them into. It's a guided experience, and I always trust the process. I always trust that there's an energy of such love and intelligence that is always guiding us, and miracles often happen when you really hand over to that. So I think I have my systems and processes, but ultimately, I'm just the channel.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I love the way you said it, the energy of love and intelligence. That was just so beautiful. And yeah, I wonder, I guess like my next question would be, because you help people move through. So a lot of the time, what I see in the work that I do, and I'm sure you've seen it in yours, is that people can get stuck in the healing and then not actually take action to move forward. And I just wonder, what tips have you got, or what are your thoughts on this, to help people move forward, so not getting stuck in the healing for maybe a past relationship and moving forward into finding their soulmate?
Gosh, because it can be actually quite a plausible reason, can't it, to not move forward, because I've still got more work to do.
Yes.
Right? Like I'm not fixed yet. I'm not done yet. Then that kind of feeds into the I'm not perfect enough story. I'm not good enough story when you dig even deeper. How do you move through that? It's a process of helping a woman, which is a healing journey still. It is a process of helping a woman embrace the idea that it's safe to drop the perfectionism, because we wear the perfectionism as a shield, don't we? And we wear it as a way to protect ourselves from being hurt. We wear it because one of the big reasons we don't want to move forward is because we're scared of the unknown. Like, we know our fear, we know our pain, we know the therapeutic process, we know our therapist, we know our coach. This is all known, and moving forward into the life you want to create is so unknown, so terrifying, because it's unknown, that we don't really want to go there. So I guess I'm helping a woman to open up to, like, what else could be true? Yes, it's unknown, but what else could be true about your future? And just helping her to start to see that the potential and possibility for her, like, it's not all scary. What else could be true? I'll actually start making more money. Then I'll be able to travel. I'll actually meet my person, and then I'll be able to plan trips with him together. It's rather than being where they're at, which they know they don't want anymore.
So it's kind of like, the momentum of what, I guess, like, you share with them in a way what could be possible for them.
Yeah.
Like, when you tune in and kind of, like you said, you channel and you get the intuitive hits on the questions to ask, kind of painting a picture helps them to move through and take action.
Yeah, like, we would, if a client wasn't taking action on moving forward, I would ask her, we would go through a line of questioning as to why. And like you said, that line of questioning will be quite guided, and it will get to the root cause of all of the fear stories that she's telling herself. Fear being false evidence appearing real. And then we really pick those stories apart, because you kind of got to play the tape through. Just saying, I'm scared of change, isn't going to cut it. We have to go much deeper than that. It's like, well, what about change is scary? And then we go into, well, all of the nitty gritty, minute detail, and we work with every single belief. Until they verbalize all the beliefs, they don't even realize that so much of what's blocking them is actually laughable. Like, when they actually say it out loud, they realize, God, that's crazy. I'm not going to stop moving forward with my life because I believe that. So just kind of outing it, bringing it out into the light, is hugely transformational. And for the chunkier pieces, we ask, well, what else could be true? Like, what do you need to believe to actually create the change, to actually be able to have the confidence to take action? So it's a little process. But we get there.
Thank you so much for sharing. So I have the question, why do you do what you do? Why do you do the work that you do in the world?
Oh, Lucy. It's again, it was guided. Like, I wasn't at school thinking I want to help to change people's lives through therapeutic coaching. I never thought I'd write a book. In fact, I would have been, once upon a time, quite cynical probably of the person that would write a book like that. my life experiences have guided me to this point. I really, you teach what you needed to learn. And some of us we're always, all of us, all humankind, we're all always learning. We're all evolving and growing. Some of us feel the calling to use those life experiences to help others. I don't know why, but I'm one of those people. I felt, when I realized, I mean, back in the day, like right at the beginning of my journey, when I realized very simply that I was thinking something that made me feel not good. I could be in charge of what I thought so that I felt better. And those thoughts were actually guiding my life, like going right back to basic principles of you get what you think about and you feel your thinking. I didn't know that was the case. I didn't know that I was thinking thoughts based on my conditioning and programming, and that many of them were making me feel seriously anxious and were sabotaging my relationships and various aspects of my life. I didn't know that I was on some kind of autopilot. And when I realized, oh my goodness, you can take charge of your life, to me, that was like, oh, and I became evangelical. I'm like, everyone needs to know this. Like, how do people not know this? This should be taught in schools? Like, how do we not know this? I mean, my son, who's 15, he knows this, but we're in a different generation now, thank God. But I just felt called to, because I created so much change in my own life, and I continue to. And there's just something within me that wants to share that and really enjoys sharing that and has a natural talent for it. So it's become my work, and it's a pleasure. I mean, what a pleasure.
I feel you with that. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most beautiful things in the world to just get so turned on by the work that you do, and get paid for it as well. It's like, it's a dream. It's a dream come true. And then being able to help people as well, that especially when I find that I can see or recognize their pain because I've been through that as well. It's the most, satisfying thing when you support them in moving through it and healing it and creating what they want, their desires.
So true. I mean, that it does feel amazing, because it feels amazing, and it goes beyond coaching, actually. So what I do and how I do it, yes, I'm trained as a master transformational coach with a spin of humanistic psychology on that. And I have my woo-woo trainings of, Reiki, and my NLP trainings. And I kind of, then I have my life experience. So I'm not just a coach, I'm a mentor, and I've learned so much and got all sorts of different qualifications and different things that I teach. So when I'm with a client, you kind of blend all of it. And I love that.
Yeah, and I think also it's just like that everyone's so unique in the way that they blend things as well, because you can have the qualifications and things, but at the end of the day, when the divine speaks to you, or the universe, or whatever you want to call that love intelligence, like, they speak to everyone in a different voice and help in a different way. So it's like, sometimes you can't kind of quantify or even qualify your gifts or your talents. It just happens in the moment.
So true. It's so true. My husband is actually currently training to be a transformational coach, and he's early days, and he's trying to figure out what kind of coach he'll be, and he's trying to get it just perfect with the different frameworks they're teaching. And I said to him, darling, you'll find your own way. Like, the training is brilliant, and you'll find your own way, you'll find your own voice, you'll intuit questions in a way that will be really unique to you, and the people that are attracted to work with you will want you and your style and your life experience and your mentorship. And I mean, it's so precious to work with a client and just know I've been where you are right now. Like, I have so much empathy for how you're feeling, and so much compassion. And it's such a gift to be a part of someone's life when they're in pain. You know, it's also a gift when they're celebrating. I mean,
definitely. And I think that's it. Like, I've spoken with many people before about, I would rather go with someone over experience rather than a qualification, you know, someone that's been where I was or where I am or where I'm trying to get to, and they're already there. That's what, you know, I value more than a qualification. And also, I think sometimes, I don't know, I've got a feeling that someone needs to hear this as well, is that age doesn't matter either. Like, my coach is a lot younger than me, but like, she has wisdom to impart that I know nothing about. And so I really feel that it kind of opens it up, because it really is the experiences that you've been through, or your relationship to the love intelligence and how you channel that you might be able to support people.
Yeah, so true.
So I wonder, what was the biggest saboteur that you see in your years of work, for women to finding love?
Yeah, so my work has evolved over the years to now be very intentionally supporting midlife single women to help them call in their soulmate. Because again, like we were talking, like that was a huge part of my journey. And I was a single mama for 8 years. And it was, you know, there was deep inner work required to become the vibrational match for the kind of guy I wanted to be with. And what I see in my clients now is what I was experiencing when I was a single mom. Multiple things. I think, you know, dating in midlife it's a very unique period of time, and dating at this time is quite different to when you're in your 20s and 30s. You've got different, it's just a different stage of life. Often you've got children. If you don't, the desire to have them is still often very strong, and then maybe seemingly impossible. So there's that, all of the dynamics and layers and complexities of that going on for different women. You often there's elderly parents in the mix that you're taking care of. Often I'm working with women who are at a point in their career where they're just at the peak. They've worked hard all their life and they're at the peak of their career. Some are at midlife questioning everything and wondering, what the hell should I do next? I want to make the most of part 2 of my life. Like everything's sort of been thrown up in the air. But there's a lot going on at midlife, and you've got massive hormonal shifts happening, which impact you not just physically, but, you know, mentally, emotionally. It's a huge spiritual awakening, actually, midlife and the hormonal changes. So all this is going on. And dating can just feel like, oh, it's another thing I have to do
On the to-do list.
Like, I've got all this going on. Like, for me, you know, I had a little boy, I was running a business. Financially, I was really up against it. So that was a big, that required a lot of my energy to bring the money in to finance my life, my son's life. I mean, yes, so much going on. And I didn't think I'd have the time or the energy to date. I didn't know where to begin. I was completely anti online dating. I'm like, oh my God, I spend all day on a screen running a business. The last thing I want to do is sit down in the evening on my phone, swipe it. You know, it was just that thing. So this feeling like it's going to take a lot of time and energy is a big saboteur to women being able to call in their person, because it feels overwhelming to even get started. And then we have all these expectations of ourselves at midlife, like, I should be further along by now. Who's going to want me in my 40s? And this was these are my stories, and my clients are very representative of this. Who's going to want me in my 40s? I haven't actually got to the point in my career I thought I should have got to by now. I'm not earning the money or have the money in the bank account or the number of properties and the type of car that I should have by now. Like, who's going to want me? I'm not successful enough. I'm not, you know, or I've got such a great life everything's going so swimmingly, because I would like teeter between the two. I'd be like, I'm not enough. Who's going to want me? I should be further along in my life at this point. Who will find me attractive? Then I had, my life is so great. I love my business. I love my home. I love my relationship with my son. I love the lifestyle we have and the travel that we do. A guy's going to come in and ruin all of that. He's going to be an energy zap, away from my business, away from my parenting. I mean, it's all like juxtaposed. I can never say that word, but they, you know, these beliefs contradicted each other constantly. So I was kind of trapped.
Wow. Yeah, I've never really thought about it from that angle, how midlife dating would be very different to dating in your 20s, for example. I mean, I tried dating in like online dating. They didn't have dating apps back then. And it was a real challenge even for me in my 20s, because I'm a relationship person. So it was, yeah, I found it really hard dating, and rejection as well. I found the rejection tough. Have you got any tips to maybe help other women there deal with rejection, or like navigate the dating game a bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a conversation in its own right. And the first thing I want to say is quite flippant, and that's great. He's not your person. It's like let's just say, because it can feel overwhelming dating. And so it's like, good, that's one less person I have to worry about. Next.
Owning it. I've never thought of that. Just owning it.
Yeah, taking your power back.
Yes, I love that.
Because we give our power away, don't we? When we say, oh, they don't want me. What's wrong with me? Woe is me.
Yes.
I'm not good enough at XYZ. I mustn't be pretty enough. I must have too much baggage. Like whatever the things are. We're giving that person a lot of power over us. And so we can take our power back by saying this or something even better. So if it's not this guy, apparently, or this girl, apparently there's something better available for me. And looking at it with that lens opens us up to possibility, and it allows us to know, okay, that's one less person in the pool of available people that I need to worry about. And while I stand by that, we also have to remember to be hugely compassionate and loving and kind to ourselves, because rejection is a thing. And of course, it's going to often tap back into past experiences where we were rejected. And a lot of us have childhood experiences where we felt rejection, where we didn't feel seen and heard. And that feeling can feel like death. Because as a little girl, like if we weren't seen and heard, if we felt rejected, our very survival was genuinely in question. And it felt like that. Like when you're a little girl, it feels like that because you are primal at that point. And when you're very young, you don't have the mental faculty to work out what's going on and understand. It's just, I'm a feeling creature, and I feel and I intuit that I'm not safe because I haven't got your eyes on me. I'm feeling abandoned and rejected. So therefore, that equates death on a very primal level. And that gets activated in adulthood when we're rejected. And so we have to have a hell of a lot of love and compassion for ourselves when that comes up, and to love the part of us that's experiencing that. So like adult Katie can go, oh, this was something even better. Moving on. 5-year-old Katie, no, I'm dying. Literally, I'm dying here. And I have to pay that part of me a lot of attention and give her a lot of love.
Wow, thank you so much for that insight. That was absolutely beautiful. And I feel like I love how like it's just conversations like this just lands me even more, and I get more understanding of like people and life and experiences. And I feel like that dying thing, like I completely relate, because for our root chakra, which is about safety and security and feeling safe and secure in the world, but also safe and secure in our bodies, that develops between the age of 0 and 7, I think. So all those experiences, if you were rejected or didn't feel safe or had a chaotic home life, that really impacts your root chakra and your ability to feel safe as an adult in the world and in yourself. And I do see that with clients where their root chakra is completely closed. And as soon as you start to give that love, whether that be with an inner child or, talking to your younger self and seeing what they need, you can see it starting to blossom and open.
And you've got that amazing gift where you actually really can see it, can't you?
Yeah, I just saw all the stuff when you were talking about your I saw younger Katie.
Yeah.
She's fine. She's like skipping along happy. She's like enjoying this conversation. But yeah.
She didn't used to though, Lucy. She didn't.
Really?
No, little Katie was, I've got a picture of her actually over there on my desk. She was very worried. She worried a lot, and she was in fear of being abandoned on a very primal level, and she didn't understand it. And it's only now, with the life experience I've had and all of the healing work I've done, and I can see now that, she was so she intuited that something wasn't quite right, and the fear was Dad would leave to another woman. Dad would be emotionally unavailable, so would leave the building. He might be in the building, but he'd left the building. Mm-hmm. And Mum would leave too. And Mum was depressed and had various things going on. And, ultimately that both of those things happened to that little girl. So ultimately my dad, he did leave when I was 7, and he came back, and then he left again later on in my teenage years. He left to alcoholism, and my mum ultimately took her own life. I was older by that point. I was 22. They were both actually incredible parents. They were both very loving. They adored me. They did their best. There's zero blame or bad feeling around any of this. I've learned a ton from them. They've been my greatest teachers and huge gifts of love from them both. And 5-year-old Katie felt on a primal level that something wasn't quite right, and it had her feel worry and fear. And as an adult, when I was in my 20s and 30s dating, rejection, it felt like death, right? And I had to do, over the years, I've had to do so much work with my inner child, with that little girl, to help her through that.
And so one of the things that's just coming to me now is that's really beautiful, because I feel like a lot of people would, how I would view it is, would work on their heart chakra because it's about love. Whereas actually it's about healing those traumatic experiences as a child that you had, rather than doing more work on your heart or healing your heart.
Yeah. I mean, so you might see it, because this is it. You and I, we do such similar work, but from quite different
angles,
different gifts and so on. So I wouldn't word it like that. So to me, working with the inner child is working with my heart, but it's working with the heart of the inner child, if that makes sense.
Yes. So I would say that would be working with the root chakra, which is about feelings of safety and security at a young age.
Right. Yeah.
Involve love as well.
Yeah. And I agree. I hear you. I agree with that.
And that's what I love at the beginning when you were saying the work that you did, the work that you do, is mindset and energetic and transformation and body. It's all of it.
Yeah.
You can't just focus on one thing.
No. I mean, no, you can't. I mean, you might go to different healers and practitioners for different things, but ultimately it needs to be really holistic.
completely agree. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. So my other question was, do you feel women have to heal trauma from a previous relationship before they can enter into a new healthy one?
I feel like that actually goes back to what we were talking about with perfectionism, because you could fall into the trap of thinking I'm not healed enough to be in a relationship. But the truth is, it's not until we're in relationship and we've got somebody mirroring back to us that we can do some of the deeper work that we need to do. So I did tons of healing to get to a place of feeling very empowered and lovable to be able to meet James. And then I met James, and oh my God, the work really began, you know. I thought I'd done the work. It was like, no, apparently not. More work to be done. But it was the work I did in the lead up to meeting James. It was very preparatory. I was really preparing myself, mind, body, emotion, soul, on all levels, to be able to not just be able to receive a man like him, but to also be able to have a relationship with a man like him. So all of that work counts, but you're never going to get it perfect. And actually, it's not until you're in the relationship that it's mirrored back to you what else needs work. And I mean, that's beautiful. But what we want to do is enough work to be a vibrational match for somebody that's able to continue the journey with us, if that's both your desires, right? And that was my desire. I wanted to be with someone that we could hold each other and we could journey together and continue to evolve and grow, and we are. So you don't have to do all the work on your past relationships to be able to be in one. You do absolutely, though, have to take personal responsibility and do the work, do some work. It's never going to be perfect. It'll never be enough necessarily. There's always something. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, it does completely. And I think I would just love to add to that. So my experience, so we're actually going to be celebrating our 11-year wedding anniversary on Saturday. And my experience was when I met my husband, when I met Rob, he actually helped me to heal. And he was integral in me falling in love with myself. Yeah. Because when I met him, I didn't have much love for myself or respect myself at all. And then when I saw the way he looked at me through his eyes, I was like, wow, okay. And that's what really helped me on my own healing journey of worthiness, I feel. And so you can grow. It can be a beautiful healing melting pot for the two of you to just grow together. And I know his confidence has grown, since we've been together. And that to me is one of the most beautiful things about our relationship.
Yeah. I love that. And yeah, I just love that. I had a male coach just before I met James, and what you just described is what this coach did for me, because I'd never experienced. My dad loved me. He loves me now, and it's quite conditional, and I never experienced completely conditional love from the masculine. And this coach was able to do that for me. So I could show up to a session and be miserable in my victim, really angry, just depressed, like whatever, I could cry, snot, the whole thing, red face. He didn't care. He just held the space and still loved me. I could come and be celebratory and my best self, my big self, almost too much. And he just held the space and loved me. Like, he just allowed me to be all of who I was. And that was so healing. I mean, in that relationship with him, it was less about any clever coaching from him and more, he just held space and modeled something that I'd never experienced before. And that was so healing.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly it. I feel like it's just that ability to hold space for each other. And just there's one thing, I'm sure you won't mind me sharing it, but for my husband, when he met me, previously in his other relationships, he'd always tried to fix the person. He is a fixer. That's what he does in his career. That's what he does. He fixes things. And so, but for some reason, when he met me, even though it was quite a train wreck when I met him, he realized that this girl doesn't need fixing. I just need to be there for her. And that was like a light bulb moment for him. And then I feel like, and I mean, I needed to work on myself, but I didn't want fixing from someone else.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I feel just my experience, which is very limited, I must admit, I'm not in this industry, but I've seen a lot of interviews with men where they've said in previous relationships they've tried to fix the other person. And I think women have tried to do it as well.
Yeah.
But when you can fully calm and just be like, that's their stuff, they'll work on it when they're ready, but I accept you as you are right now. Let's go.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's important. It's really key to a healthy relationship, isn't it? That ability to just hold space for each other, which requires us both to bring forward our masculine energy, no matter how you identify. It's, like sometimes in my relationship with James, I have to bring forward my masculine energy to hold space for him to go through whatever he's going through, and without any need to fix him or control how it happens, just with total trust. And he does the same for me. And there's something that he has definitely massively improved on through our relationship, just the ability to just not have to fix. It's such a masculine trait, actually.
And I think the thing for me that's been my thing in my marriage is to speak my truth. Before, I would never be really honest because I didn't want them to leave me.
Yeah.
I didn't want, so I stayed in some pretty not nice relationships. And so it took me a while to be able to, I think it's quite a masculine trait, where I'd stand in my power and speak my truth and not feel that this is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I was going to say, in your experience, what does it take to call in a soulmate? And do you feel there's one soulmate for one person?
No, there's not one soulmate for one person, I think. No. That's another big conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just threw that in there, but that is probably a whole nother podcast episode.
My personal perspective on soulmates, because I really feel like I've had several in my life already, and I wouldn't be surprised if I meet more on my journey. James is a soulmate, my husband, and we met. We evolve and grow through love, which is beautiful. My grandfather was absolutely a soulmate. I don't know how I know, I just know. Like, he's my soulmate, and he and I grew through love. It was a beautiful, supportive, wonderful relationship. I actually feel like my son is a soulmate. I mean, it's just undeniable that these people are soul family. And I don't know how I know, I just know that we've had multiple lives together in different shapes, different forms. Like, I just know. And there's soulmates who are also from my soul family, who I have evolved and grown alongside through deep pain. So I think a lot of soulmates, I've had friendships and intimate relationships with men two in particular, that were so painful, full of, mental and emotional abuse, narcissism, addiction, all sorts. There was a lot of love there, but there was a lot of drama and a lot of pain. And actually, the pain the pain instigated my growth. Like, I wouldn't be the woman I am today if those relationships hadn't prodded the pain and invited me to grow and evolve. So yeah, I mean, I think soulmates come in many different forms, in many different types of relationships, with the sole purpose of inviting us into soul growth. Which means massively overcoming our humanness. It means really doing the healing work around our conditioning and programming and our belief systems, our habits of behavior. All of that requires a lot of work.
Yes, I love that. I love that response. And there was kind of a trick question I kind of threw in there about the soulmate thing, because I agree. I feel like there's not one soulmate for you at any one time. I think there's multiple. And also I believe in something called divine timing as well. So like you could, especially if you're working with another person or trying to call in another person, you could be ready, but that other person might have some things to sort out before they can fully meet you where you're at.
Yeah. And I know for sure. In fact, interestingly, I have a mastermind group, and we're meeting tonight, and my husband's coming in to the group tonight to answer questions about dating and about our relationship, so they can get a male perspective. And oh, why am I telling you that? Gosh, I've just completely forgotten. Why am I telling you that? What did you just say?
I just said about divine timing.
Oh, yeah, right. So I know for sure, and I know that we will, share this story tonight. If I'd met James 2 or 3 years before I met him, we wouldn't have been a match. Like, I still had work to do. He was actually in another relationship, and he needed that relationship to take him to a place of his own healing and growth that he needed to go to be able to be my match. So that was all at play, and our humanness gets so frustrated with the time delay. Like, where is he? Why hasn't he come in yet? I'm doing all the work. It's not working. But yeah, learning to surrender and have faith and trust in divine timing is a huge part of the journey of calling somebody in. Huge. But your first question was about preparing.
Yes. So what does it take to call in your soulmate?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's everything we've been talking about. I really, do you know, it's almost like, so that question, while it makes so much sense, it's actually quite a masculine angle on it. And this is kind of the problem, where we're indoctrinated into this way of thinking that how do I do this? How do I call in my soulmate? And it's less about that and more about activating your feminine energy and being able to receive him or her.
I love that. Yes, I love that. And that's the thing I think that people get so frustrated with, is they're like, what's my step-by-step guide?
Yeah.
And then when they've not got the end result, whether we're talking about calling in your soulmate or not, they're like, why is this not working for me?
Yeah.
And I actually can pinpoint the complete thing where I called Rob into my life. Was I remember I was in London in a shared house, sat on my sofa, and I remember I was saying to my best friend that why isn't it working? I've tried all these dating sites, like I've been on all these dates, and I was like, I'm just too weird. No one gets me. And I remember like this, it was like a physical, energetic release, and I just let go. I just gave up. I just surrendered. And in that, like, I could still feel that, like, it's really hard to describe, but that energy of just letting go. A week later, I met Rob. And then a week later, we went on our first date. 9 months later, we got married. And it's like, yeah, it'll be 11 years on Saturday. And it was just, I wonder if it's that creating space and letting go of expectation or this pressure. I don't know. I don't have all the answers.
Well, I mean, that's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it is, the process of, I mean, it sounds so like simple, So the process of how do you call in your soulmate? You learn how to receive your soulmate. And right there brings so much up. I mean, from like, how available are you actually to receive somebody? Really and truly. I mean, for me, it was, I had that, I shared, you know, one of my beliefs was he would be an energetic drain. I wasn't available for somebody to come in and drain the life force from my beautiful life until I realized, well, what if, you know, what else could be true? What if this person added energy to my life, added a vibrancy to my life, added more support to my life, added, you know, I mean, the stepdad he has become to my son is just phenomenal. How he's supporting my son at the moment is just beautiful. He's not a drain. He doesn't take me away from my son. He supports me to be a better mum. You know, so how available are we to receive somebody? Will, you know, just that question starts to open up. Well, where am I not available to receive, and why, and on what level? Like, there'll be physical stuff going on. I mean, our body's physically shut down. I know, do a lot of work like this with women. There was stuff going on for me when my body, I mean, I would get recurrent UTIs. If I, you know, any sex for me resulted in a urinary tract infection, would often hospitalize me, would always have me on antibiotics. My body was like, no, thank you. I was unavailable to receive that kind of intimacy. There was a lot of healing to be done to open me up to be available physically to a man. I don't remember the last time I had a UTI. Like, I just don't get them anymore. It's amazing. That, to me, that is a proper modern day miracle, because that was my life experience my entire adult life. Emotionally, am I available to receive somebody? Am I available to be vulnerable? Do I dare to open my heart and let somebody in? If you're, and that begins with being emotionally available and vulnerable with yourself first, let alone allowing someone else in. Most women I work with, they want a guy that's emotionally available. You're not the vibrational match for that unless you have that for yourself first. So where are you not available to receive emotionally? Where are you not available to receive mentally? Like, you know, we've touched on tons of belief systems that keep somebody at bay. So that is the work. That is the work.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then for my last question, so once you've called in your soulmate, could you give me your 3 keys you think for a successful relationship, successful, healthy, happy, juicy relationship?
Just 3?
Yeah.
Just 3. Keep doing the work, keep doing your work, because your person, your other half, they're not responsible for your emotional well-being. They're not responsible for your mental, physical, spiritual well-being. They're just not. That's too much to put on them. I remember I used to expect so much from my partner. I would just put so much pressure on them to be all things. And my attention was always on them, when really actually my attention needed to be on myself. And where was I not showing up? Where did I need to do the work? And actually, the more that we can bring our attention back to ourselves and get over the idea of like that's selfish in some way, because we feel a lot of guilt to consider ourselves first, don't we? It's such a habit that we've learned. But unless I'm taking care of myself first, unless I'm sort of looking at me and prioritizing me and doing my healing work and hiring my coach or my therapist or whatever, going to the gym, like, what do I need for my emotional well-being? Like, yoga would be one for me, you know, mental and emotional well-being is that, meditation. That has to be prioritized. You have to be prioritized, and then the relationship can flourish, and you're not using the relationship as your journal, for example. Like, you're not just dumping. You use your journal to dump, and then when you've got to a place of cleaning up what needs cleaning up and understanding, then you can bring it to the table with your partner and share from an empowered place. It's not about sharing from a perfect place. It's not about getting it right. But it is about taking personal responsibility. before dumping it on the other person. So that's, I think, the first piece. Communication is, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, is just key. If we're not communicating, like, what's the point? We have to be communicating. It has to be a regular practice. However you need to make that a practice. Is it a weekly date night? Is it like, what is it, dinner at the table more often? Is it like, what is it, going for walks? Like, what is it? But communicate. And you know, it's easy to say that, but right there is why I love doing the work I'm doing with women, because I'm preparing them not just to call in their person, but I'm preparing them to be able to be the woman they want to be in a relationship. And if they, and that preparation requires them to get really vulnerable with themselves, to learn to communicate with themselves, they practice communication with me. If we're in a group coaching environment, they're practicing communication vulnerably with the witnessing of other women in the group. We actually even approach dating as a space of practice ground. Like, the encouragement is, yeah, go on a date without expectation and attachment to him being the one. What if the date could just be a fun, joyful experience, a lovely opportunity to meet another human being, and a chance for you to practice speaking your truth, a chance for you to practice asking for what you need, which could just be, can I have some extra ice in my gin and tonic, please? Right? Like, it's so basic. So used to caring for everybody else and not asking for what we need. So dating becomes a really beautiful practice ground for then being able to communicate inside a relationship. Which, I mean, I'm pretty good at communicating. And when a big piece comes up that I have to talk to James about, oh my God, is it awkward? I mean, I have to preface it with, what's going to come out is just not going to be perfect. I don't know what I'm going to say exactly. It's like, well, it's tears and snot. And what's the third? What would be my top three? Oh my goodness. I just feel like it's the word surrender's coming through. We can't control another person. And we really have to trust and have faith that they're on their own journey. I'm on my own journey. Our paths have crossed at this point in time. And I can allow the journey of our relationship to be the journey of our relationship without the need to like hold on tight to it, to even have a timeline. Like, I chose to marry James. It's my only marriage. I would like to think it will be forever, but I'm super surrendered on that. Like, I would like it to be forever, and life is going to do its thing. We don't know what's around the corner. So I'm grateful for the moments, this moment now with him, and I'm very surrendered. I'm just surrendered that the relationship will play out its course, and I'm surrendered that he's the person he's going to be, and I just to allow that. And I say that because I've had so many relationships where I felt like I had to control everything to feel safe. And I've done enough work, and this is the work I'm doing with my clients, to know that I am safe, full stop. I don't have to control somebody else or the situation or the direction of where the relationship's going to feel safe. I am safe. And if the direction changes and it becomes that we're not together anymore, I'm still safe, and I've got me, and it's okay. And I can trust that life will guide me to whatever the next relationship or whatever it is to give me the soul growth I'm meant to have. Like, I have such trust in that. Not easy all the time to have trust in that, but
no, but I think that, yeah, I completely agree with those. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think that just trusting life, like that it's all working out for your highest good, whether that's in your relationship or every area of your life.
Yeah, it feels important.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Katie. And I wanted to share that Katie's got an empowered dating masterclass, which I will put in the description to this video or in the show notes, which you can join, which is free. And also Katie's Meet Your Soulmate 5-day challenge, which is just so much fun. And the amount of women that tell me the incredible transformation they've had. And this again is free, and the next one starts on the 27th of June. Is there any way you'd like to particularly point people to go right now? I can put it in the show notes as well.
I mean, right now, just to go to the School of Self.love, and you'll find the challenge, and you'll find everything else that we're doing there. But you'll put a link to the challenge in the notes, won't you? Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, like if you are looking for your soulmate, if you are looking for love, then I highly recommend Katie's 5-day challenge. Or if you're struggling with dating, then check out the Empowered Dating Masterclass. So thank you so much for joining me, Katie, and being my first guest. I've absolutely enjoyed it. It's been such a pleasure to have you on. And I shall speak to everyone else soon in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks, Lucy.